Unlock Miraculous Financial Abundance. 7 days of divine meditation for women to manifest blessings. In the quaint village of Greenvale, the air crackled with the promise of miracles. Sarah, a devoted mother in her late 30s, was poised at the edge of something extraordinary. She felt a divine calling, a nudge from God to seek abundance through powerful meditation. The sermon from Pastor James echoed in her mind, bursting with the radiant promise of divine provision. "Beyond our worries lies a realm of unfathomable blessings," he'd declared. In that moment, Sarah envisioned overflowing baskets of fruit, unexpected checks in the mail, and whispers from heaven that would fill her family's needs with unimaginable grace. The evening found her kneeling at her cluttered kitchen table, the sweet scent of her children's dinner lingering in the air. As she prayed, a light flickered above her, casting an ethereal glow across her worn-out notebook filled with verses of hope. With each whispered word, she felt tendrils of faith weave a tapestry of anticipation. It was as if heavenly hands were guiding her towards a profound understanding of abundance. In the days that followed, her journey began in a secluded corner of St. Michael's Church Cafe. Candles flickered with a soft glow, illuminating the pages before her. The aroma of fresh coffee mingled with the tension in her heart. Each day, she immersed herself in Scripture, and the words erupted into life. "I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." John 10:10. Yet, as the hours turned into days, doubts invaded her sacred space. "This won't fill bellies," Tom interjected more than once, his brow furrowed with concern. "We need rent or groceries." Sarah felt the weight of reality press down hard, yet hope sparked in her spirit. Yet, at community prayer service, a miraculous moment unfolded before her gaze. A stranger stepped forth. The congregation hushed in reverence. "This is for you," he said, presenting a basket brimming with vibrant vegetables and fruits. Tears streamed down her cheeks as the congregation gasped collectively, their hearts warming as they witnessed her divine provision unfold, a shimmering testament that God indeed answers prayers in the most unexpected ways. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with outreach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she clutched the basket, a wave of gratitude washed over her. This was more than sustenance. It was a shift in perception. She looked around at the smiling faces of her community, each pair of eyes a reminder of the divine workings at play. She felt God nudging her, revealing a greater plan, faith and community interwoven as the fabric of abundance. But lingering in the depths of her heart was a question, an unsettling whisper. What was her true purpose beyond simply accepting blessings? As she reflected on this, her faith tested, Sarah stood at a precipice. Would she embrace this calling, unlocking the mysteries of divine provision, or allow the encroaching doubts to hold her back? The struggle persisted, each moment pulsing with divine promise. The horizon of her journey glimmered, yet she remained poised on the brink of revelation, eager to discover what was next for her and the sacred village of Greenvale. The next morning dawned bright and fresh, the sun stretching its golden fingers across the village of Greenvale. Sarah awoke with a flutter in her heart, a blend of hope and uncertainty. She had never before felt such urgency about her purpose. Was she meant to be just a vessel for blessings or a beacon guiding others towards their own revelations? As she prepared breakfast, her mind buzzed with possibilities. Each sizzle of the pan felt like a call to action. Her children's laughter floated through the air, a melody that urged her soul to leap into the unknown. With each bite of toast, she whispered prayers of gratitude for the stranger's kindness. It was more than food, it was a signal, a nudge from God to dig deeper into her faith and find her voice. The day unfolded in serene rhythm as she walked through town, greeting familiar faces. Yet beneath the surface of her mundane tasks, a profound stirring grew. The people of Greenvale were not just her neighbors, they were her family, and she felt a divine tug to foster a spirit of abundance among them. What if, she mused, I could help others see the blessings around them. As she approached the community center, her resolve solidified. Sarah envisioned morning gatherings where stories of faith and abundance could flow freely, igniting hope in every participant. She could create a space where worries diminished and prayers multiplied. Upon arriving, she found Miss Eliza, the elderly widow who often sat alone with her thoughts. Sarah smiled warmly, and to her surprise, Eliza's eyes glimmered like stars reflecting the brilliance of an unspoken dream. "Sarah, dear," Eliza murmured, her voice a soft melody. "I had a vision last night of us meeting here, a community united in prayer and sharing." The revelation pulsed between them, and Sarah's heart raced. Was this the profound purpose she had been searching for? A gathering, not just for sustenance, but for nurturing spirits? In an inspired moment, they began to outline the framework for this initiative. Every Tuesday morning, they would assemble, each bringing a dish to share. Around the table, they would offer prayers for one another, encouraging the exchange of stories about blessings both big and small. It was not just food, it would be a feast of fellowship and faith. The word spread quickly, igniting excitement among the villagers. Women began to approach Sarah with eagerness, their eyes shining with anticipation. "Can I bring my famous apple pie?" asked Cherie, her smile bright enough to light the whole room. "I want to share my story about how God provided for us when we thought we had nothing," chimed in another. In these conversations, Sarah felt the powerful pulse of God's presence, their faith intertwining like vines in the garden. But as the momentum built, fear crept in once more. What if no one came? What if they did, and it turned into a disappointment? As she lay in bed that night, Sarah wrestled with her doubts. She placed her hand over her heart, feeling its steady beat, a reminder that faith was a journey, not a destination. "Lord, lead me. I am just your humble servant," she whispered, inviting peace into her restless spirit. The next morning brought a cool breeze, whispering through the trees as she prepared for the first gathering. Each step felt heavy yet exhilarating, as if she were walking into a divine moment just waiting to unfold. She set the tables with care, adorned them with flowers, and took a deep breath before opening the door. As faces began to fill the room, the light in Sarah's heart brightened. Laughter echoed, prayers mixed with the aroma of delicious dishes, a tangible representation of God's bounty. And in that sacred space, feelings of expectancy hummed. The very air vibrated with hope. Then a sudden hush fell over the room as attention turned to her. All eyes were upon Sarah. "I want to thank you," she began, her voice cracking with emotion, "for being here, for believing that we can create something beautiful together." She realized that this was the moment, the beginning of a shared journey toward divine abundance. But before she could take another breath, the door creaked open, revealing a newcomer cloaked in mystery. The crowd stirred, curiosity knitting brows together. Who was this stranger, and what miracles might they bring? Was this another blessing from God, or a test of their faith? Sarah felt another wave of uncertainty wash over her, knowing she stood on the brink of another revelation. The stranger stepped inside, hesitance mingling with an aura of assurance. The room's warmth brushed against their presence, and Sarah felt an inexplicable pull, like a tether between their souls. This figure wore a simple coat that barely concealed a hardy frame, and their eyes shimmered, framing a face creased with tales of storms weathered. "Hello," the newcomer said, voice resonating with tranquility. "I'm Jonathan. I heard about your gathering and felt drawn to come." The villagers exchanged glances, curiosity stoking the flames of conversation. Sarah's heart pounded. It felt as though Jonathan carried a piece of their unfolding narrative, yet she couldn't shake an undulating wave of apprehension. "Welcome, Jonathan," she called out, her voice steadying. "Would you like to share with us what brought you here?" He nodded and stepped into the soft glow of light from the window, revealing the gentleness in his expression. "I spent years chasing what I believed to be success, a career that promised prosperity, a life filled with possessions. But I found emptiness in shiny things. I lost sight of the abundance that really matters, the love of community, the richness of shared lives." The room breathed quietly, every heart aligning with his revelation. Jonathan went on, his words unraveling a deeper truth. "That's where I found my purpose. in the connections we create and the blessings we share. My journey led me here, and I wish to be a part of this beautiful congregation you've started. Tears threatened to escape Sarah's eyes. Jonathan's honesty struck a familiar chord, one that resonated with the doubts and yearnings lingering within her spirit. The sharing had begun. This was the essence of their gathering. As stories began to pour forth, each person added their own threads to the tapestry. Cherie talked about how generosity showed up right when her family faced eviction. Another woman recounted how kindness from a stranger turned her darkest hour into a moment of faith. Each story, a shimmering gem, bolstered the collective spirit in the room. Then, Sarah's fear began to dissipate like morning mist under the sun's embrace. She understood their gathering wasn't just about sharing meals. It was a holy moment woven with faith, connection, and the potential for divine breakthroughs. "Jonathan," she said, her heart dancing with hope, "would you lead us in a prayer? Your journey speaks volumes." He nodded and the room quieted. "Dear God," his voice rose as he beckoned the heavens, "thank you for every individual here, for the stories that bind us, and the lessons learned through trials. May we always be reminded that our true wealth lies not in what we possess, but in how much we love and encourage one another." As he finished, a palpable presence lingered, wrapping everyone in a cocoon of divine warmth. In that moment, Sarah felt a lightness of spirit, a realization that perhaps this was what God meant by abundance. Yet in the midst of their soul-stirring gathering, a distant rumble echoed through the gathering. Was it thunder? Or a siren's wail? Heads turned anxiously toward the open door. It felt as if the heavens themselves were offering a message. A divine plot twist was waiting to unfold. "What more, Lord?" Sarah wondered silently, her heart brimming with anticipation. Little did she know, the answer was about to unveil itself in the most unexpected way. The earth beneath them trembled as the rumble grew louder, enveloping the gathering in a mix of curiosity and fear. Jonathan's calm demeanor remained, but even his gaze flickered toward the door. Sarah could sense the rising tide of anxiety in the room, a tangible shift in energy, a moment suspended between fear and wonder. "What was that?" someone whispered, glancing nervously outside. "Stay calm," Sarah urged, though her own heart raced. She could barely grasp the moment's weight, the divine message woven into the air. She closed her eyes briefly, seeking guidance, hoping for understanding amidst the uncertainty. Then, without warning, the wind outside surged, sending a flurry of debris tumbling across the porch. It whirled through the doorway and danced around them, as if carrying voices both ancient and new. A murmur from the wind filled the space, wrapping around every heart present. Jonathan stepped forward, raising his hand as if to beckon the tempest. "Listen. Listen to the wisdom carried on the wind," he said. His voice was steady, firm. "God often speaks in chaos, revealing truths we might overlook in stillness." Sarah nodded, letting herself be guided by his words. It was true. Sometimes it took a storm to reveal what really matters. The wind intensified, swirling blessings around them, an unseen force calling them to trust in the promise of faith. Moments passed, but within that chaos, Sarah could feel something shifting. She envisioned the stories shared, each heart touched by vulnerability. She saw Jonathan's earnest hope, a flame amidst the storm. And just like that, fear began to dissipate. "Open your hearts," Jonathan encouraged, as if sensing the collective doubt. "What if this storm carries something special? What if it's a sign of abundance on the horizon?" His words sparked a glimmer of hope in Sarah. A flicker of revelation lit their gathering. What if we are being called to receive not just spiritual abundance, but a blessing that can manifest in all areas of life, including the financial? "Exactly!" Jonathan exclaimed, his spirit igniting. "We've shared our stories of love, community, and support. God is stirring something here. Perhaps we should pray for guidance in this very moment. Ask the divine to open doors we haven't even looked for yet." A sense of unity washed over the group as they closed their eyes once again. Hearts aligned, they began to raise their voices in unison, asking for direction, clarity, and an obedient spirit. Their prayer danced in the air, weaving around the soft sounds of the wind and thunder. "Lord, we ask for miracles. We seek your guidance. Show us the next steps toward our abundance." As their words hung in the air, A strange peace enveloped Sarah, much like the warmth they had felt earlier. She realized how connected they all were, not just in their struggles, but also in their dreams. Suddenly, the wind calmed. Outside, a soft light began to break through the clouds. Golden rays painted the room, crossing over the faces of the villagers filled with awe. Something was changing. But just as Sarah was ready to celebrate, a soft knock echoed through the room. The sound was gentle yet insistent, igniting a collective curiosity. Who could it be at this hour? Jonathan wondered aloud, and just like that, the moment shifted again, holding the promise of another surprise. What awaited them behind the door? Would it be yet another divine sign, or a challenge to strengthen their faith even further? The tension thickened in the air, and all eyes turned to the entrance, hearts beating in rhythm with anticipation. As the soft knock resonated through the room, breaths were held. The air was thick with anticipation, as if every heart recognized the significance of this moment. Jonathan, embodying the calm before a storm, took a step toward the door. The flickering light from outside illuminated the lines of determination on his face. "Shall we?" he asked, glancing back at the congregation, his voice steady. Each nod in response felt like a collective affirmation of faith, woven tightly together like a tapestry. With a deep breath, Jonathan opened the door just wide enough to peek through the crack. On the other side stood an elderly woman, her silver hair catching the glow of the fading light. She held a basket filled with something wrapped in a soft cloth. Her presence radiated a warm peace, contrasting the chaos they had just experienced. "Forgive my intrusion," she said gently, her voice like a balm to their anxious hearts. "I felt a pull to come here, as if the wind itself guided me to you." Sarah's heart fluttered at her words. A knowing smile spread across the woman's face, and she stepped inside, revealing the treasures hidden within her basket: fresh bread, honey, and small handwritten notes tied with twine. "I've come to share, to bless you," she said earnestly. "These are gifts from God, meant to nourish not only your bodies but also your spirits, to remind you of the abundance that surrounds you." In that moment, the room transformed. The anxiety that loomed moments ago faded, as the gifts filled the air with a sweet aroma. "God provides in remarkable ways," Jonathan proclaimed. "This is not just food for the body, but a testament of his faithfulness." He invited the woman deeper into their gathering, where they all stood spellbound, each drawn to the unexpected love poured forth. The woman began to hand out the bread and honey to all present, her eyes sparkling with joy. "Remember, abundance isn't merely material. It's found in every act of love, in unity, in shared experiences. Your prayers have been heard. You are entering into a season of miracles." Every note she handed out contained messages of encouragement, each one an echo of hope that the group could cling to during difficult times. "Share these with one another. They are meant to remind you of the dreams God has for you," she said, her eyes locking onto Sarah's. "You must believe that the impossible can happen when your hearts are open." As they filled their hands with bread and their spirits with light, a swell of gratitude washed over Sarah. She could feel her heart expanding, pulsing with renewed wonder. Around her, laughter, whispers, and joy filled the room as they broke bread together, solidarity cascading like a warm blanket. But just as joy reigned, the earth beneath them rumbled once more, a reminder that change was on the horizon. The vibrations were different this time, alive, electric, and full of promise. "Something greater is coming," shouted Jonathan over the noise, his joy echoing the rising enthusiasm. "What we consider a blessing today may be a mere glimpse into the riches that await us." The intensity of the moment heightened, and Sarah could only wonder. What was this new chapter they were being drawn into? She felt the stirrings of divine promise mingling with her thoughts, each unanswered question blooming like wildflowers in the spring. With eager anticipation, the villagers looked toward Jonathan, awaiting his next words. Was this truly the doorway to greater blessings, or a mere step further into God's unfolding plan? What awaited them next was shrouded in mystery, and they could hardly wait to uncover it all. The energy in the room surged, wrapping around each person like a warm embrace. With the sweet aroma of bread and honey surrounding them, hearts began to beat in sync, a rhythm born of shared hopes and dreams. Each note the woman had given out became a beacon, lighting a path forward for the weary souls who had gathered. "Let us take a moment to reflect," Jonathan said, sensing the collective heartbeat. He led them to form a circle, each person holding hands, the simple act binding them tighter than any spoken words. As their gaze was cast downward, a stillness settled, inviting an atmosphere of prayer. In those moments of silence, Sarah felt the fears and doubts slowly melt away. The vibrations from the earlier quake seemed to dance beneath them, not as a threat but as a promise, a reminder that life was alive and ever-changing. She considered how much she longed for something more. "Open your hearts," Jonathan instructed, his voice softly lifting above the stillness. "Let gratitude become your prayer. Thank him for every little blessing, for the miracles that have already touched our lives." As they quietly whispered their thanks, a wave of emotion flooded through Sarah. She recalled the laughter of her children, the gentle morning sunlight spilling through her window, the love in her husband's eyes. These were miracles, soft and yet powerful in their simplicity. Then a voice broke the reverent hush. It was the old woman who had brought them together. "Dear hearts, every moment of thankfulness is a seed sown in divine soil. Whatever you kneel to thank God for, it shall flourish. But be warned, like a farmer tending to his field, you must also nurture what you've sown." A murmur of understanding rippled through the circle. They sensed a deeper wisdom in her words, a ticking truth that resonated within their souls. Jonathan, encouraged by this revelation, asked, "What are we willing to let go of to embrace this new season? The past burdens, the fears, the disappointments?" One by one, each person began to voice the weight they carried. A man shared his fear of failure, a woman her sorrow of loss. Each confession was met with love and compassion, weaving a tapestry of vulnerability that created space for healing. As they cast their fears aside, it felt as if the very ground beneath them quaked in approval. Then the old woman raised her hands, inviting them to look towards the window where the light was shifting, radiating a golden hue that flooded the room. "Behold, look what happens when we lay down our burdens. God opens windows of abundance. Are you ready to receive?" A hum of excitement coursed through everyone. They caught each other's eyes, witnessing the flicker of hope igniting like starlight in the night. With their hands still intertwined, they echoed, "Yes, we are ready." But as Jonathan prepared to lead them in a declaration of faith, a sudden shadow passed over the threshold of the door, followed by the sound of footsteps approaching. The air thickened again, as an unseen presence seemed drawn to their gathering. "Who comes now?" someone whispered, and Sarah's heart raced as she felt a mixture of wonder and trepidation. What message awaited them from beyond? Was this the unveiling of something great, or an unexpected twist in their journey? As the steps grew louder, they all turned their faces toward the door, holding their breath in unison. What awaited them in this sacred moment could transform everything once more. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a figure cloaked in shadows. For a brief moment, the room held its breath, as if the very walls awaited the arrival of a king or a prophet. As the light spilled forth from the golden rays outside, the shadow emerged into view, an elderly man with a long, flowing beard that danced with the soft currents of light. His eyes twinkled like silver stars, the weight of wisdom and experience etched deep within their depths. "Peace be with you, my friends," he spoke, his voice smooth and soothing. It flowed like a gentle stream over the gathered souls, washing away remnants of apprehension. What a beautiful gathering this is, a bouquet of heartfelt intention blooming in divine grace. Jonathan stepped forward, curiosity mingling with a sense of reverence. "Who are you, sir? Have you come to share a message with us?" "I am a wanderer, a messenger of disruption and renewal," he replied enigmatically. His gaze swept across the circle, warming the hearts of those within its reach. "I bring to you the winds of change, an opportunity to embrace abundance like you have never known before." Sarah felt a stirring within her spirit, a flutter of anticipation as he spoke. The man seemed to symbolize all they had hoped for, the very answer to their silent prayers. Yet, as the joy bubbled within her, a question nagged at the back of her mind. What was the price of this abundance? "Tell us." Another voice rose from the crowd, eager to embrace the promise. How do we awaken this abundance? What must we do? The old man raised his hands, motioning for silence. Be still and listen. Abundance is not merely found in wealth or possessions. Understand that true abundance begins in the heart. You must cultivate generosity, for what you let flow through you comes back multiplied. Are you ready to open the floodgates? The words spread like wildflowers in spring. An invigorating feeling enveloped them as they exchanged glances filled with hope and determination. They understood that this was not just about receiving, but also about giving and sharing. The principles of reciprocity began to resonate strongly within them. Let go of the fear that keeps your hands clenched tight, the man continued, his gaze steady and compassionate. Every time you give, even in small, seemingly insignificant ways, a seed is released into the world. Trust that these seeds will flourish, that the universe is prepped for your faith to manifest. Jonathan's voice, filled with passion and certainty, beckoned everyone to align in a united intent. Let's make a promise together. A promise to open our hearts and our hands, to share our time, our love, our blessings with one another. I am in, Sarah exclaimed, her heart racing as she envisioned the flow of love washing over her family, her friends, and the community. Others joined her, their voices rising like a beautiful hymn. I am in. We are ready. The atmosphere thickened with hope. The flickering flame of faith ignited within. As they reaffirmed their willingness to embrace generosity, the old man nodded, satisfaction dancing across his features. Yet just as the warmth of community enveloped them, a shock of cold air rushed in, scattering whispers like leaves in the wind. Do you feel that? Jonathan observed, eyebrows furrowed in concentration. It's as if the energy shifted again. Could it be? The moment held its breath, pregnant with potential. Each person felt a divine invitation echoing through them, yet an unspoken fear loomed. Was their newfound abundance at risk? Prepare yourselves, dear ones. The winds of change never blow quietly, the old man warned, an amused glimmer playing on his lips. What you embrace may very well cause tremors in your lives. Are you ready to navigate this tempest? Together, they stood on the precipice of the unknown, hearts pounding with both excitement and uncertainty. The question hung heavy in the air, inviting them deeper into their spiritual journey. What lay ahead could change everything. Who knew? Perhaps a miracle was about to unfold. The air buzzed with the electricity of anticipation, as the old man's words settled among them like seeds in fertile soil. Jonathan glanced around at the faces swirling with emotion, each revealing a mix of eagerness and apprehension. The unspoken question lingered, weighing down their spirited hearts. What could possibly follow this call to generosity? Winds of change, murmured Sarah, the phrase whispered like a secret. Her eyes flickered to the window, where shadows of clouds danced across the sky, hinting at the tempests yet to come. She felt the delicate balance of hope and fear teetering within her. The old man seemed to sense their turmoil. Remember, beloved ones, he began softly, though winds may shake the foundations of your lives, it is in the storm that true strength is forged. Each trial is a stepping stone on the path to abundance. At his words, Jonathan spoke with an earnestness that radiated through the circle. Then let us not fear the storm. We will stand together as one, and if we fall, we shall lift each other up. With each proclamation, it was clear that hope began to intertwine with courage, a promise rising like sweet incense towards heaven. Well said, exclaimed Sarah, fisting her hands to her chest, feeling a warmth swell inside her. Who are we to fear what we cannot understand? Together we can turn any tempest into a testament of our faith. The old man nodded approvingly, an almost imperceptible smile lifting the corners of his mouth. Ah, the strength of unity. Your hearts bound together shall brave any storm. But also, know this, within the tempest lies an opportunity for profound transformation. Embrace it. With those words, a gust of wind pushed through the open window, stirring the air into a swirling dance. The flickering candles responded, flames bending but not extinguished. It felt as if the very universe was rising to join them in their commitment. Jonathan, feeling the weight of clarity, stepped forward once more. What must we do next? Elder, guide us. We are ready. First, cultivate your intentions, the old man replied, his voice flowing like a river. Each morning should begin with gratitude, a deep acknowledgement of the gifts you already hold. As the sun rises, let your hearts rise with it, breathing in abundance as a sacred trust. A daily meditation of thanks, Sarah exclaimed, her spirit buoyed by the idea. She envisioned her mornings, grounded in reflection, filled with divine light. The man continued. Next, offer your blessings freely. This could be through small acts of kindness within your community, gifts of time, or even a smile shared with a stranger. The energy you exude will ripple outwards, creating waves of change. Warmth spread through the group as flames began to flicker brighter and brighter, as if encouraged by their collective energy. Jonathan felt tears welling in his eyes. We can do this! With renewed determination, Sarah and the others spread their arms wide, feeling embraced by heaven's love. Now, heed one final reminder. Change is often masked in discomfort. Trust the process, even when it feels overwhelming. To reach your harvest, sometimes you must endure the pruning. The serenity in the circle was disrupted as the door slammed shut, echoing a finality that sent shivers through them. The sudden sound seemed to embody the challenges they would face, an unexpected trial demanding their faith in the signs they would receive. Embrace this moment, the old man encouraged, smiling. In this very storm, miracles await. Are you prepared to cultivate them together? The air thickened with a divine energy, mingling their hopes with echoes of belief. They exchanged comforting glances, filled with faith's tender assurance. But deep in Jonathan's heart, a new question began to stir, a fragile thought born of longing. What if navigating this tempest was just the beginning? With their hearts in sync, they moved forward, breathing in the possibilities, as a new light flickered at their horizon. What awaited them on the other side of faith? The adventure had only just begun. As the silence hung heavy in the air, the group absorbed the weight of what was unfolding before them. Unseen forces began to stir, the anticipation mingling with every heartbeat, resonating with their collective will. The old man's eyes sparkled with a celestial knowing, as if he could see the threads of their destinies weaving together. Now, my dear ones, he said, his voice a gentle breeze, we step into the realm of meditation, a sacred space where we must listen with our hearts. In unison, they took their seats on the floor, forming a circle. The flickering candlelight danced upon their faces, illuminating the hope glimmering in their eyes. Jonathan, still feeling the charge of emotion, placed his hand over his heart, urging everyone to follow his lead. Let us close our eyes, he whispered, and take a deep breath together. As they inhaled, the room seemed to fill with a vibrant energy, expansive and warm. And now, exhale all that weighs us down. With a synchronized sigh, anxious thoughts and fears drifted away like leaves carried by the wind. The old man spoke softly, guiding them deeper. Picture a radiant light beginning to form within you. Let it swell and glow, warming every weary corner of your spirit. Sarah visualized this light, feeling it ignite a joyous flame within. With each breath, it expanded beyond her, filling not just the room, but wrapping around her friends, encompassing them in a cocoon of divine love. Now, I invite you to speak your desires into this light, he continued. What shall you cultivate? What blessings do you seek? Each voice began to rise in gentle whispers, carrying dreams of abundance and joy, like fragrant petals scattered on the wind. Sarah spoke of wanting to share her art with the world. Jonathan longed for the strength to support his family. Others shared their hopes, revealing aspirations cloaked in vulnerability. As they shared, the energy in the circle became palpable. Jonathan felt his heart race. These wishes, he said, are sacred truths unfolding before us. Together we shall support one another. The old man smiled warmly. Indeed, this is how miracles begin. Each thought, each word becomes a seed that can blossom into the blessings you seek. But remember, true abundance requires faith and patience. Gradually, the soft glow of their inner lights began to dance around the room, creating a tapestry of hope that sparkled like stars set against the night sky. Yet amid the overwhelming beauty, the door creaked open, bringing with it a sudden gust of cool air. The flickering candles shivered, and their flames sang out in protest. "Change is here, even among us," the old man announced, his voice steady against the gathering chill. "Embrace it. Trust that no matter the weather of your life, each storm has the potential to bloom into radiant transformation." A shiver raced down Sarah's spine. She felt the gravity of his words as if a storm was brewing deep within her, a tantalizing uncertainty, a path unfurling ahead. What will the storm bring? She thought, her mind racing with possibilities. Could it test our faith? Would it reveal our hidden strengths? Or perhaps something even more profound? Just then, the wind howled outside, rattling the windows. Instead of fear, a strange exhilaration washed over her. It stirred a deep-rooted sense of anticipation. Jonathan sensed her turmoil and grasped her shoulder reassuringly. "Whatever lies ahead, we will not face it alone," he reminded her. "We are bound by faith and love." The old man nodded, as if sensing their connected resolve. "Indeed, together you have the strength to face whatever awaits. But remember, it all commences with the courage to believe." With their hearts ignited by this haunting mixture of fear and faith, they opened their eyes. The air pulsed with vitality, a divine spark waiting to manifest. As Jonathan looked around, a question blossomed within him, whispering soft yet persistent. What treasures lie concealed within their storm? What miracles were dawning on the horizon? The adventure had truly just begun, and a transformative journey still awaited them beyond their wildest dreams. The storm that had greeted them melted away, replaced by the hopeful embrace of dawn's light. The golden rays filtered through the windows, warming the room and igniting a sense of renewal. Sarah and the villagers exchanged glances of anticipation. The winds of change had indeed visited them, but what lay ahead was still shrouded in mystery. As they gathered their thoughts from the meditative journey, Sarah could feel her heart pounding with excitement and trepidation. Today marked a new beginning. She glanced at Jonathan, who met her gaze with a reassuring smile. Their shared understanding cemented the bond they had formed amid struggles and triumphs. "Friends," Jonathan began, his voice reverberating with sincerity. "We've prayed, meditated, and shared our hopes. I believe that each breath we took carried our intentions to the heavens. But are we prepared to step out in faith and manifest this beautiful vision?" A chorus of agreement filled the room, hearts pounding in affirmation. Sarah felt the energy swell, a palpable pulse of hope rippling through the circle. "Yes," she exclaimed. "We are ready." With that declaration, the room felt electrified, as if God's very presence had infused their spirit with a purpose. The elderly man stepped forward, his gaze sweeping over the assembly. "What will you do, then? Will you share your blessings?" he prompted, a twinkle of challenge in his eye. "We will," came the resounding answer, a wave of determination radiating from each person present. "We will serve our community. We will show love, share our stories, and embrace one another as family." The promises flowed like sweet honey, mingling with the warm fragrance of bread. Sarah envisioned their plans. "Let's organize workshops. We can teach one another skills, from cooking to art. Let's empower every person in our village to feel the abundance that comes from sharing." "Exactly," Jonathan added enthusiastically. "And let's hold an event in the plaza, a celebration of blessings. We can invite everyone, share food, stories, and testimonies." Ideas bounced like joyful threads in a woven tapestry, each one adding color and vibrancy to their collective vision. The elderly man simply smiled, his heart warmed at the creative spark igniting in the group. With every suggestion, he could sense the roots of faith deepening, anchoring them firmly in love and generosity. As plans unfolded, a palpable excitement enveloped them. Sarah felt like a compass pointing towards the divine, guiding her family and community to a glorious horizon. But as they readied themselves, a sudden crash jolted their focus. The door burst open, and a small group of villagers rushed in, breathing heavily but with wide eyes filled with awe. "You won't believe it!" one man exclaimed, practically vibrating with energy. "There's a shipment of goods, Far more than we could ever need. All sorts of food, clothes, supplies, just waiting. The room erupted in surprise and joy, laughter spilling forth like music. God has heard our prayers, Jonathan cried, clasping his hands together, the miracle unfolding before them. Look how he pours out blessings. The gathering shifted into a flurry of joyful activity, the villagers mobilizing in excitement as plans for sharing the abundance transformed into action. Sarah watched as interconnected hearts sprang to life, neighbors embracing one another, tears of joy blending with laughter, each soul shining brightly, radiating faith. Remember, this is just the beginning. The elderly man's voice danced through the air, full of warmth. You are all part of something much greater than you can imagine. Let your love become the cornerstone of your community's spirit. Sarah felt the presence of divine love wrap around her, acknowledging the journey they had taken together. No longer were they just a group of individuals struggling through life. They had become a tapestry of interconnected hearts, woven by faith and hope. The rhythm of their efforts grew louder, echoing through the streets of Greenvale. Each meal shared, each story told, and the every gesture of kindness formed bridges, connecting lives. The village flourished, and soon word spread beyond their borders, drawing others who sought the light that had emerged from the darkness. The seeds that had been planted in their hearts manifested into a bountiful harvest. Sarah marveled when she received a letter, a heartfelt thanks from a family they had helped. It reminded her that God's abundance wasn't just financial. It was found in love, kindness, generosity, and shared experiences that bind the community tightly together like vines in a garden. One night, as she knelt in prayer beside her children, she felt a surge of gratitude wash over her. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she understood the profound truth God had shown her. Abundance isn't just received, it's given freely in the form of love to others. With that realization, Sarah knew their journey had led them right into the heart of divine grace. Dear God, she whispered, voice trembling with joy, thank you for this life, for the community, and the miracles you have shown us. We are ready to continue sharing your love with the world. In that moment, she realized her true purpose, to be a vessel and beacon of hope, guiding others towards the abundant blessings divinely bestowed upon them. And thus, the village of Greenvale became a living testament to the relentless pursuit of faith. A heartwarming saga of transformation that reiterated the truth. When one dares to dream and embrace the winds of change, miracles unfold in breathtaking ways. As the congregation continued to share their journeys, love sprouted and blossomed, transforming not only their lives, but the very essence of their community. It became a beautiful example of what God can accomplish when hearts unite with faith. Friends, this is the moment to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories and witness God's miracles at work in the lives of others. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let others know this message matters. Your support makes a difference. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this heartwarming ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Don't wait even one more second. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Your faith can inspire a movement,